So, what we're going to do is I, your dungeon master, Wilbur the Owlbear. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I hope I'm not too muted or muffled or anything like that. Hopefully everybody can hear me pretty clearly.
Yep.
But what I want to do is kind of do a recap of the entire Horde of the Dragon Queen game. I thought about this for about but I thought about this game for about an hour, and I started writing down everything that I could remember about the game. So if I get a name wrong, I apologize. If I get an NPC wrong, I apologize. But this is what has happened previously to where we are going to be starting, and we will be starting here. And in fact, I will let you guys. I will let Tiberius. He'll kind of finish this off. I'm going to give you guys the map of the Sword Coast. All right, this is not the new Sword Coast companion map, but this is the Sword Coast map that was out of the Rise of Tiamat and the Horde of the Dragon Queen. So at the top, you're going to see that there is the spine of the world. And that is where we are going to be starting the Rise of Tiamat. So, Tiberius, you're starting to come to, all right? But as you're feeling totally groggy, you're out of it. I'm going to do the recap. And
Yeah, hey, no problem.
hey, no problem.
I only worked on it for 7 hours, Dave. I went back and rewatched every single one of the episodes, taking notes.
Did you really?
No, I'm just joking.
I was going to say, oh my goodness, you're going to get the paw of approval on that one right there.
Meow.
So we started off about a year and a half ago playing Horde of the Dragon Queen. Not even a year and a half. I'd say a year and about 2 or 3 months. As soon as it came out, and June of 14, we started it immediately. We had 5 players. 5 players. We had Ralthoin, the Dwarven Berserker. We had Misty. She was a half-elf wizard. We started with Silverclaw, the Dolph Lundgren of all Dragonborns, I mind you all. He was a Battlemaster fighter. We had Zelos, the Magnificent. He was a arcane trickster rogue. And then last but not least, we had old Krivgar. He was a College of Lore bard. Well, this band of merry travelers started from Waterdeep. They were all seeking to make big names for themselves. They all wanted to have lots of money. They wanted to have lots of silver and gems and magic beyond, tales that they could tell their children and grandchildren. So they took off for the Amn region to the south. And they left from Waterdeep. And I have a pointer here, guys. And you guys can kind of follow along. They started here in Waterdeep. They traveled for several months, all the way down to the region of Amn, which is basically, they didn't make it to Amn. They were on their way to Amn because that's where a lot of adventure is, and it's out of the Sword Coast. They were going to go beyond the border that they've never been across. So they came to a small town called Greenest. And what was unique about well, actually not unique, but what was tragic was there was a green dragon that was attacking this small town. And the dragon noticed that this caravan was traveling on the road to Amn. So the dragon also attacked their cavern. Their wagon, caravan.
Caravan.
Not the cavern, or the sarcophagus, or carciphagus. Thank you, Big Dirt.
Yes, somebody attacked the caravan.
Yeah, I just can't stop staring at that beard on Widow there. It's pretty Nice
It makes you
snort.
want to reach out and start
It
stroking
does.
it
It makes
in
it.
a
I'm trying to
luxurious
stroke
way.
my beard already, and the mask is getting in the way. So, but anyway, this green
Yeah,
dragon
I'm stroking
attacks the
too, Dave.
caravan. Open your mouth really wide, Tiberius. Let's see that cat. I'm so sorry. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. So the dragon attacks the caravan, kills a lot of people in the caravan. A lot of families were killed. Short end of it, the party, our 5 adventurers, they help the town of Greenest. Not only are they being attacked by this green dragon, but they're also being attacked by what they found out to be cultists and kobolds, led by a Frularn Mondroth and a half dragonkin named Landradrosa Cyanrath. The town of Greenest needed their help. The town of Greenest is run by a Governor Nighthill. His lieutenant of the watch is Escarbert the Red. And soon after they were actually successful of thwarting all of the cultists, these kobolds, and also Silverclaw had a very nasty run-in with Landradrosa that actually left him unconscious. They found tracks and scouted this horde of cultists, and they weren't trying to hide their way. We'll just put it that way. They tracked them north. What was their raider camp? So they scouted it. I mean, they spent almost a week there scouting it, posing as hunters, trying to bring food back in to sell them, because they had contracted quite a few hunters. Well, Misty and Zelos, they were captured. And Misty and Zelos, they were going to be put to death the next morning. And they were tied up on post. And on a post beside them was another one of these humans. And his name was Leosin or Lanthor. And things actually worked out because Leosin, he had a sort of like a makeshift shiv, and they were able to free themselves during the night and escape. So they go back to Greenest, report back to the governor, they report back to Escarbert, and this Leosin was very badly wounded. He introduces himself as part of one of the large organizations. I believe it was the Emerald Enclave he belonged to. So, they help him get rested. Leosin, he needs to, report all of this cultist activity. He needs to stop at Candlekeep, which is far to the west. He needs to do some research on these cultists. So he asked the party to go back to the bandit camp. Take another chance. So the party agreed. And when the party got back to this bandit camp, it was totally abandoned. Within 2 days, they had found out, the bandits knew that, and the cultists knew that their location was basically, their gig was up. So they pulled out 100%, except for this dragon hatchery that was in a cave in the very far back corner. And this cave, this hatchery, tons of guard drakes that they were breeding. They were breeding small dragons, and they found dragon eggs. And they were so, they Ralthoin and Silverclaw and Krivgar, they wanted to take these eggs out because that was their mission. And they lost focus of everything else. And when they went in, they did not notice a roper in the room protecting the eggs. And 3 of our party members, unfortunately, perished to a roper. Zelos and Misty, they both escaped just by the skin of their teeth. And as they come out of the cave all bruised and battered, the hunters unite because the hunters were kind of getting shafted by the cultists anyway. So the hunters united. They went back in. They defeated the Roper. Very, very long, very hard battle. Several of the hunters were lost, but the corpses were retrieved. Even though Krivgar, his corpse was half consumed, because they had to break the Roper open to get the bard's corpse back. But nonetheless, Ralthoin's corpse was taken back to his tribe, and Silverclaw and Krivgar, their corpses were taken back to Greenest. So, now this party of 5 is down to a party of 2. And the job's not done. This cultist activity is gaining more and more momentum. So Leeson and, Governor Nighthill, Escobar, they're all mourning the losses of the heroes. But there are some other heroes associated with Leeson that had arrived at Greenest. And they needed to travel to El Toro and meet the paladin Onthar Froom. So, a Tiberius joins the party.
Woohoo!
A Carissa, Kensa joins the party. And another paladin and a monk join the party. So now this party of 6 set off to El Torel, which is to the north. They get to El Torel. Right. Here's pretty much what happened. This was Landradrosa in the dragon hatchery. Landradrosa met his end. Kadojo got his vengeance on the half-dragon. Got his vengeance. So now you have to travel to El Torel. You're on the road. And this road to El Torel was it wasn't a short trip by any means. It was going to be a very long trip. But once you got to El Torel, you met the paladin Onthar. You partied like it was 1999. I mean, everybody partied. There was a lot of drinking contests. A lot of information was shared about, the cultists, the activity. And there was another thing that needed to happen. The party needed to travel past Waterdeep to the north, to the Mere of Dead Men. This was a very long-term, very painstaking trip. This was about a 1,300-mile trip. Alterel past Baldur's Gate, past, Dragonspear Castle, past all kinds of major locations. But the destination was not to stop at Waterdeep, where they did stop eventually, after passing Daggerford, and a lot of things happened on the way. Tiberius, he got into an altercation with this small girl that I guess he startled her in the middle of the night, and he wanted to help the little girl, but the little girl's father thought that he was trying to, goof with her or something like that. And this guy was all oiled up. And remember that Tiberius? He had the piano.
Yeah. I remember, that's right. Yeah.
The
but
piano
she
wire.
had like a little teddy bear with her, and she's like asking me questions.
Yep.
And the guy looked at me and saw I was a cleric, and then instantly thought the worst.
Yep. Yeah. He thought you were a priest, and literally beat the shit out of Tiberius. His piano.
I took the punches.
Yeah, you did. He had piano wire chest hair, a curly Q mustache. I mean, he got his ass kicked. But then
he was a pugilist.
Remember, Kensa came to your aid. After you got worked. And you remember what you asked her, Tiberius? What did you ask her?
I asked her if she would shapeshift into a bunny rabbit so I could snuggle her.
Yeah, she did.
That's right. Because she was a druid.
That was so good.
I just said, just hold me. And then she did. She's like, all right, whatever. And so she shapeshifted to a bunny rabbit.
That's so good, man. So after finally reaching Watergate, water, you guys found Waterdeep. You made the trip. The caravan continued the next morning into the Mirror of Dead Men. And but one thing happened. One last thing happened on this trip. Do you remember the griffins towards the end of the trip? The griffins that kept following the caravan? And who were on those griffins? But a couple of griffin riders that were actually from Greenest.
That's right.
Kadojo.
Yeah, there were some people. Yeah.
Kadojo and Krivgar were resurrected. So, two victims of the Roper, that dastardly Roper that killed 3 party members, 2 of them were resurrected. Ralphoin's body was never found. You know, the hunters had it. They took the body to, you know, his tribe, his Uthgard barbarian tribe, but was never. They never tried to recover Ralphoin to resurrect him. But Kadojo and Krivgar, I mean, the party was hysterical to see him again. You know, Misty and Zelos, they were really happy. I mean, it was such a cool game to see them reunited again. And, you know, the dwarf and the monk, they took off, but they also had 2 other companions. They had two new companions named Tiberius and Kensa. And Kensa was quite a unique shapeshifter. She was always, remember this, Tiberius, taking the heads from all of her kills, and everybody wondered why. You know, she was sort of like labeled the oddball of the caravan because she had so many heads of animals and monsters that had attacked the caravan hanging all over, you know, this wagon. And then they met Mick the Peddler. Mick the Peddler also came into the picture. Some deals were made. But the party finally got to Waterdeep. And then after Waterdeep, the next day, they needed to head. They found out that this cultist caravan was not. They weren't slowing down. They were heading to the Mirror of Dead Men. And in this Mirror of Dead Men, there was a Carnath Roadhouse. Remember the Carnath Roadhouse. And this Carnath Roadhouse was actually a unique place. It appeared, you know, to be just a stopping point, but out in the middle of a marsh. I mean, there's just really no reason for it. So, what happened was, Zelos one night got curious. And Zelos actually almost got himself killed. He starts snooping around the Carnath Roadhouse and finds a door that was locked. They all knew that, you know, this place had all of the tribute that was being raised to rise Tiamat from the depths of the elemental chaos where Tiamat has been for many, 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 many generations. So the cultists are stealing all of this tribute, or, you know, killing everyone, ransacking all the towns, and all this tribute is being stored here at Carnath Roadhouse. So the party wanted to find it. And Zelos, he found it. It was in the Carnath Roadhouse. It was in a locked room where they had seen it being delivered. But this wasn't no ordinary locked room. This room had a cellar. And it had a hidden tunnel. Because as Zelos was investigating all of this stuff, all of a sudden, lizard men popped up out of the cellar. Zelos got a serious clutch sleep spell on those lizard men and slept them all. And he killed them. And he went back and got the party members, but the gig was up. More lizard men came. There was a fight. The Carnath Roadhouse was alerted, and the party, they had to leave. You know, the person in charge of Carnath Roadhouse was Bog Luck, and he was a very stern half-orc. And Bog Luck wanted the heads of the individuals responsible for finding out about the Carnath Roadhouse and why it was really actually being used. So the party, after they took care of these lizard men, they start traveling down this tunnel. And then the tunnel ends in the middle of the Mere of Dead Men. And there are boats docked up outside of the exit. And these boats, just one river, leads to Castle Naerytar. Alright? So now they know that they have to go to Castle Naerytar. Castle Naerytar is a very old, abandoned castle that was used by the astronomers that studied the stars in the Sword Coast and Faerun. But the marsh kept encroaching in from the Sword Sea, and eventually that's how the marsh was created. It just became so so hard to travel through this Mere of Dead Men that they just basically shut the castle down, and it laid abandoned for many, many years. I think it was 40 or 50 years. So the party, as they're traveling, they had a few more encounters. They actually encountered bullywugs. They encountered Yuan-Tis. But one thing that happened, which was like a turning point for the group, they were betrayed by Kensa. Tiberius, you were there. You remember this.
Oh my God, it was horrible. Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. There's a big battle, and then we fought him off, and we turned around and we couldn't find Kensa, and then we look up, and then Dave, you can take it from here. It was scary.
Looked up, she was riding a dragon, and she vowed to get vengeance on the party. And she rode
I think she
off.
was yelling, "Later, bitches."
She said, "Later, bitches. I'm riding my, adult black dragon, and we are gonna f you up later." And she
was riding on a black dragon. That's right.
Yeah, she introduced herself as one of the cultists and one of the higher ups. In fact, she said that she was going to get her mask and return. So the party was taken back by this. I mean, they were betrayed by Kensa. So now with Kensa out of the picture, they have no other alternative but to move towards this Castle Naerytar. Are they going to find Kensa? Are they going to capture Kensa? Or what are they going to find? What kind of cultist activity is happening here at the castle? Because this is where all of the loot is going. But they find out that the loot is definitely going there, because they run into a small little tribe of lizard men, the Scaly Death Tribe, led by a very intelligent lizard man named Snapjaw. Remember Snapjaw?
I do. I think he's carrying my child.
Yeah. So Snapjaw, he wants to help everyone, because he doesn't like how the lizard men are being put down lower than the bullywugs are. The bullywugs, they were led by, remember, I think it was Farblick Splattergoo. And Splattergoo always gave the lizard men the most shitty jobs. But
oh yes, Farblick Splattergoo.
Yep, Splattergoo.
The name's so beautiful. That's what I named my child.
So you guys made it to the castle. Snapjaw tries to build an alliance between you and the Scaly Death Lizardmen tribe. The elders of the tribe didn't want anything to do with it, because they thought that even though they were being treated pretty poorly, at least they still had status in the marsh. It was the status of the lizardmen, the bullywugs, and then the cultists. But they knew when they bide their time, they would eventually take the bullywugs. The bullywugs they're very weak and very disorderly. The Scaly Death Tribe, their leader was assassinated, and I cannot remember his name to save the life of me. And he was assassinated by Splattergoo. And, they were a very warlike tribe, so they could have easily taken out probably even the cultists and the bullywugs, but now they've been reduced to just basically mere servants of the marsh. And, you know, Snapjaw didn't like that, so he's trying to talk to the elders, rally the elders. You guys sneak into the castle, you disguise yourselves as cultists. Now, an interesting thing happens while you're here at the castle. You meet another person, actually it was like a breath of fresh air, because you guys were in the marsh for so long, and not so much Tiberius, but more Zealous and Krivgar and Silverclaw. They were all suffering from heavy fatigue. They were getting burnt out. They really didn't even want to be at the castle anymore. So this breath of
I love the
breath of
breast,
fresh air,
by the way.
named Tara, came along. Tara, played by our new Misty,
New Misty, go girl,
which,
go girl.
yep, Misty, our other Misty, was invited to a dinner. Remember this. And Tara was part of this, which she was actually working for either the Order of the Gauntlet or the Zentrum. One of those two organizations she was a spy for, and she infiltrated Castle Naerytar. Well, Misty, the other Misty, was invited to a dinner. They killed Misty. The goal was to they knew who the party members were. They knew everybody. They knew Silverclaw. They knew Krivgar. They knew Zelos. They knew Tiberius. They were going to lure them one by one into places to where they could be killed. But Tara did not want that to happen, and so she basically gave up her gig, which she had been, infiltrating this castle for a year. And the party, they were serving as initiatives, packing all of this loot up that the lizardmen were bringing up from the Roadhouse. So they found out that, the main area that this place was housing, this main secret was a portal that was under Castle Naerytar in a dungeon. And so the short is, they go down, they kill Splattergoo, the Lizardmen tribe rallies. They try to find Frulorn Mondarth. She escapes. She gets through the portal first. The party, they step through the portal, and they end up at a lodge, at a hunting lodge. This hunting lodge had, and now Tara, she's with the party. Unfortunately, Misty, they never found the corpse of Misty, so we still have 5 adventurers, and they're still trying to fulfill what they started. So they step through this portal. They're at the hunting lodge, and they see all kinds of dragons flying around. They see like 4-armed trolls, and they are able to actually sneak in to the damn hunting lodge. It was so brilliant. And it was so clutch that they actually got snuck in. Well, anyways, they were had. Talus the White, she ran the hunting lodge. She had eyes everywhere. She knew who they were, so she made them an offer that they just simply couldn't refuse. She thought that she deserved to have the white mask, which would have given her all the power. Her name was Frulorn the White. She wanted that white mask. And this crazy dwarf, that was basically shacked up in this castle, his name was Varin. He was a dwarf. She, in return, all she wanted was the mask. She didn't want the loot. She didn't want anything else. She just wanted power from the mask. So, the party agreed to help her. And they went to the small town. I believe the small town was... Where was it? Was it Pernost? Yeah, it was. It was Pernost. So they actually make it to Pernost. The town is being victimized by the cultists, and there's this massive floating castle. It's called Skyreach Castle. It is an ancient, ancient, ancient